But, you know, I'll be candid with you. Well, we've been having a very interesting debate, and I say we because we watch these things very carefully about the size of Donald Trump's hands. We at the same time.
Well, look, you know, if you were just watching the election, you would have reason to believe that if Mr. Trump were to succeed, we would have a more difficult relationship because he's talked about ripping up trade agreements and this kind of thing. And so I would think that's entirely possible based on everything we heard during the campaign. But I think the most important thing to focus on, and this was one of the questions I was asked by the journalism students as well, I think the most important thing to focus on is how can that country heal itself? Because I think unlike elections that we've seen most of the time here, this has caused a lot more sort of wounds in the country. It's been much more divisive and polarized. And I think that Hillary Clinton represents a better opportunity to see those wounds healed. And that's important to us as well. A strong, united, prosperous, positive-looking United States of America is very important to the well-being of Toronto. That's just a fact. It starts with economic investment and jobs and trade. It goes through tourism. And it just goes through the fact that there are neighbors. And we see so much of their media and what goes on there, you know, I think is reflected in people's thoughts here. And so I want them to come back from you know, this experience of this election. And look, it's an election, so I guess that's a good news story in that they have them, like we do. But it's been certainly very polarizing, and I think that is, you know, that is something that's going to take some time. And I think Hillary Clinton represents a better opportunity to do that faster.
At the end of the day, this is a big change in the style of leadership and a big change, certainly in terms of the stated approach. But I do believe, first of all, that people, when they actually occupy an office, as Mr. Trump will now do, their perspective immediately changes because they're actually sitting in the chair making decisions. And I believe for our part, we should just continue to do what we've always done. Reach out to Americans and say, we want to do business with you. We want you to come and visit. We would love it if you wanted to come and invest here and live here, if people choose to do that. And just treat you know, the Americans as we always have. What they do on their end of it, we have little control over, and I think we'll just have to see how that's going to go. But I think it will be, you know, it'll be different than the campaign would have indicated, just because the world, you know, rarely operates on the basis of what actually goes on during election campaigns. They're a very artificial, you know, kind of thing in terms of people saying things that, you know, that they will change their song to suit the responsibilities they have if they win.
Mr. Trump, I can only speak to the NAFTA agreement to which Canada is a party, and that he's expressed some concern about that. And our government has indicated a willingness to sit down and talk about some of those concerns. I think free trade overall has been very good for Canada. We're in an environment where those who seek to protect themselves and to kind of become isolationist, I think, are destined not to do as well as those who will open their borders to increase trade with anybody you can.